UK Interior Minister Suella Braverman lost her job after she criticised police in London. She criticised their actions during pro-Palestinian marches in comments made without Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's approval. Sunak faced mounting calls to sack Braverman after she suggested officers play favourites when policing protests and claimed they largely ignored pro-Palestinian mobs during recent demonstrations against the Israel-Hamas war. The comments, seen as red meat to the right wing of the governing Conservative Party, came after she described the rallies calling for a ceasefire in Gaza as hate marches, days after claiming some people were homeless as a lifestyle choice. Downing Street had insisted it had full confidence in Braverman, but said it was investigating how her comments in an opinion piece in The Times were published without its consent, as required by the ministerial code. According to people familiar with the matter, the speech was sent to Sunak's office, which requested changes that were not made. Braverman's words have heightened speculation. She is positioning herself for a future Tory leadership contest, or that they are a deliberate ploy by Sunak's party to appeal to right-wingers before the next general election. Sunak has described a planned pro-Palestinian march in London on Armistice Day, when Britain honours its war dead, as provocative and disrespectful, and suggested London's Metropolitan Police ban it. Police had said the march did not meet the legal threshold for requesting a government order to stop it. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators marched peacefully through central London on Saturday, even as right-wing counter-protesters clashed with police, after a week of angry debate over whether to permit the event on a day when Britain honoured its war dead. The skirmishes between police and counter-protesters, carrying the Union flag of Great Britain and the red and white flag of England, appeared to confirm the concerns that Braverman's comments would attract right-wing elements looking for an excuse to confront the pro-Palestinian marchers. Police described the counter-protesters as mostly soccer hooligans from around the UK who spent the day confronting officers who tried to prevent them from attacking the march. 9 officers were injured, including 2 who were hospitalised. Meanwhile, the march was the largest in London since the start of the conflict. Police estimated that some 300,000 people took part, snaking their way through the city from Hyde Park to the US Embassy about 5 kilometers away. More than 2,000 officers, some called in from surrounding forces, were on the streets of the capital to ensure marchers obey the law and to prevent potential confrontations with counter-protesters, the Metropolitan Police Service said. While Sunak and Braverman's comments were directed at pro-Palestinian protesters, critics had said they risked sparking confrontations between the marchers and far-right groups. Of most concern were Braverman's comments, suggesting that London police had been more lenient toward pro-Palestinian demonstrators and Black Lives Matter supporters than right-wing protesters or soccer hooligans. Braverman said the Metropolitan Police Force was ignoring law-breaking by pro-Palestinian mobs. On Saturday, fights broke out near the cenotaph between police and right-wing protesters chanting, "England till I die." Police used batons to stop the protesters, and ceremonies at the memorial weren't interrupted. Other clashes took place in other parts of the city, including Chinatown and near the Houses of Parliament. Following the confrontation near the cenotaph, police said the counter-protesters were not a single group, and officers were tracking them as they moved away into other parts of London. If they attempted to attack the pro-Palestinian march, we will use all the powers and tactics available to us to prevent that from happening, police said. The firing comes as the ruling Conservatives confirmed a major reshuffle of Sunak's top ministers was underway, his first since becoming the country's leader on October 25, 2022. He has trailed the main Labour opposition by double-digit margins throughout Sunak's time in power, and is widely tipped to lose the next election due next year. Braverman had stoked controversy throughout her tenure, taking a hardline stance on immigration in particular, and regularly wading into so-called culture wars issues which are seen as dividing the electorate. The right-winger attacked her critics as liberal, tofu-eating wokarati, while saying shortly after she was appointed that sending asylum seekers to Rwanda was her dream and obsession. Here are some comments Suella has made as Home Minister at various occasions that keep her critics busy.
We stand with the many. The law-abiding, hard-working, common-sense majority.
We saw at the end of last year people dying on the Channel in their ill-fated attempt to get to the UK.
And that's why we'll keep putting you behind bars.
But her position became increasingly untenable after she last week wrote an explosive newspaper article apparently without Sunak's approval, accusing police of bias towards left-wing causes. It was blamed for stoking tensions ahead of a weekend of protests over Israel's war in Gaza, which coincided with Armistice Day events and prompted calls for her to be sacked.